All right, folks. So as we said earlier, the scent of politics is in the air. But before we think that this only affects us bigger folk, we have to keep the kids in mind. How do we introduce this topic to them, if we do at all? Clinical psychologist Dr. Ivana Thomas, and motivational speaker, and our very good friend and our colleague here at TVJ, Dr. Terry Carell Reed, are with me this morning. Morning to you both. Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Thank you. Morning.
And I hope you're both keeping safe.
As can be.
Trying to.
Yeah. Dr. Ivana, let me start with you. We're talking to kids about politics. So you're suggesting that we should talk to them about politics first. And what kind of age we're talking about here?
Well, the age thing is kind of tricky because, children mature at different ages, really. And I would say it's about their readiness. And that readiness, I think, comes from when they start to show some kind of interest. Usually, I would say probably at the entrance of high school or even earlier, but it just really depends. Some children are very curious, so watching the news, so if they're asking questions, what is JLP, what is PNP, why are all these people dressed in all these different colors and, on the street, what's happening, then they're showing some interest, then it's really time to really start to discuss the issue gently with them and calmly with them. I don't choose a specific age per se. It's really about the child's readiness.
Yep.
So sometimes they'll come home from school. Yeah, somebody's saying something and they want clarity on it. So when they're ready, then I think it's time to go down that path with them.
Yep. I understand the words gentle and calm, but in this case, what do you mean when you say speak with them gently? What does that mean?
So in speaking to the children, it's important because the most important thing is that it's a teaching moment. It really is. And so we want to take the high emotions out of it. We get very theatrical about our party, and the truth of the matter is that a lot of persons are not even really informed about the party that they're supporting. So I believe one of the most important things is that parents need to be informed about the issues. Why am I voting for a particular party? So you sit down and explain it to the child. This is the party that I have chosen, and the reason that you have chosen this party. These are the issues that they support, and be honest about it, because we're teaching them as they grow up that, this is a process. It is their democratic right to vote. It's extremely important for them to learn the process of voting and that they should participate in the process. But when I say be calm, it's, because they have to learn to respect another person's choice as they grow older. They're going to find out as they grow up and go into the world that people's choices are going to differ from yours. And not because someone else's choice is different from yours, you're going to hate them and stir up violence and all of this kind of stuff. We have friends that go to different churches. Do we hate them and not talk to them? No. So it's the same thing with the political process. So not because someone's belief is different from yours means that you're going to hate them. You don't want to associate with them. So we really want to take the hatred, the anger, and the bitterness out of it. And that's what I mean by really being calm about it.
Yep. Dr. Reed, what are your thoughts on this? How soon should we do this? Do we agree with Dr. Ivana?
Just well said. I was listening to Dr. Ivana Thomas and I was just, nodding my head. My daughter is 8 years old and I approach politics as I approach anything else, reproductive system, period, relationship, sex. I mean, we pretty much had all of those conversations, and it goes back to what Dr. Thomas was speaking about. It's her readiness. She's extremely curious. She asks her questions, and what I think is the most important thing to do before even taking on any topic is really trying to create a healthy environment and having a healthy relationship with your child so that they feel comfortable asking you about the simplest of things. And I think sometimes, even when it comes to politics, we overthink it. We put ourselves in it. We put our biases in it. We are jaded, we're cynical, and that's why we think it's a hard topic. But for me, I am always reminded that our children might be young, but they're living, breathing organisms. They're seeing, observing, they're feeling, they're experiencing. And I think we should be in a position that when they come and they say, hey, I realize the orange and the green, what does this mean? That you can simply look at them and remove yourself, remove your biases and say, okay, this is what it means. And I've had the conversation with my 8-year-old.
Yep. Question to you both, and I'll start with you, Dr. Reed. You hear politics, you hear corruption, you see people moving from one ministry to the other because them do this and them do that. How deep does this discussion get when you're talking about politics?
Well, I think it goes back to readiness. When it comes to politics, there's so many layers, right? There's so many layers, so many issues. For me, starting the conversation with my daughter right now, because this will be her first time really understanding and assimilating a general elections. For me, I take it generally. So, general knowledge. What is the PNP? What is the JLP? Okay, these are your two political parties. Why do we have political parties? Oh, because we're trying to lead the country. We're trying to create laws that is good for everyone. Okay, do you know in some countries we don't have that process of voting? Yeah. So it's very general. It's very basic to give her a general idea of why politics is important, why the voting process is important. As we go along, we speak about issues that are important to her. If you were the Prime Minister of Jamaica, what are some of the issues you would want to see change or you would want to see improved? That is how I start out my conversation. As she gets older now, I will start adding not all sides are good. Not everyone is going to go in for the right reasons, but I think it's important to make information as digestible and as simplified based on age and readiness of the child.
Yeah, same question to you, Dr. Terry. And do you throw your own, not Dr. Terry, Dr. Ivana, do you throw your own feelings into this as opposed to say, well, I like this party or I don't like this party, or you just say what's going on?
I totally agree with Dr. Reed, and that is the hard part. Really trying to be unbiased and to keep your own, thoughts and ideas and trying to, push that on the child that you must be, PNP or you must be this. Because you find a lot of persons, well, I was born and I saw my grandmother and my father and my mother was this and that's it. And they just support that party because this was what I was raised in. Not having a clue about what the real issues are, not doing any fact checking to make sure that the information that they're giving, sometimes there's ads that's running on the television. Your child may want to know, well, what is this all about? It's important to help them to get the information correctly, to fact check so they can know this is what the real deal is. So it's very, very important to try to really take yourself out of it because, again, at the end of the day, it's a teaching moment. It's a teaching process that we're really engaging our children, and because they're our future. They will be the future of our awesome country, and they need to understand how the process works. And as Dr. Reed rightly says, you have to take it stage by stage. And when they're ready for the issues, just explaining it to them, this is what the issue, is right now. How would you solve this issue if you were in charge, if you were the person in this area? How would you do this? Again, we see issues where one political party will come into an area and they'll only help certain persons that are of that political persuasion. Is that right or is that wrong? Get your child's input on that because we're all Jamaicans at the end of the day. So is it right to just take care of some persons because they support your party and the persons that don't, we're not going to pave their streets. We're not going to, give them good schools. We're not going to put, whatever it is. Yep. So ask them these questions and really try to get them engaged in the process.
All right, great.
And Neville, I just think we shouldn't underestimate our kids. If I could just add that a lot of the time parents fear having these conversations because they underestimate the fact that a lot of our children are already coming to their conclusions. They're analyzing, they're assessing. And I think we need to give them a little bit more credit and we need to give them that space to really have input, ask questions, and to share their thoughts.
All right. Great to see you both. Thank you so very much for speaking with us. Be safe, stay safe. And hopefully, I pray that this will go off quicker than we think it will, and we will be back to normal quicker than we think.
Agreed. Have a great weekend. Bye, Dr. Thomas.
Great to see you both. Clinical psychologist, Dr. Ivana Thomas, and motivational speaker, Dr. Terry Kirill Reed, our colleague here on TVJ. I haven't seen her for a while, so it was great to see her.